Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
24 CR 737 is now called the state of Texas versus Jadrian Tristan Bob Manning. Is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were charged here in this indictment with the state jail felony in 24 CR 737 with unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Do you understand? Now, Mr. Producer is here representing you, and there's a plea agreement that's been entered into. Does the defendant waive a formal reading of this indictment and arraignment here? Can we proceed in seconds? In summary, this indictment alleges that on or about December 19th of last year, 2023, in Jefferson County, Texas, you committed this state jail felony of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Do you understand what you're charged with? If convicted, you face confinement in the state jail for any term of not less than 180 days or more than 2 years. In addition, a fine may be assessed up to $10,000. Do you understand that?
So when you say, excuse me, when you say 2 years, what do you mean by it? Like, I know
That means between 1 and 3.
So that's
Years.
full punishment range, but we have an agreement. So 180 days.
That's the punishment range for anyone charged with the crime of state jail felony. You can be sentenced up to 2 years in the state jail.
Yes, sir.
An agreement has been reached in your case. You would be pleading guilty and what is it, sentenced to 180 days, 6 months. Is that your understanding of the
Yes, sir.
agreement?
My understanding is 6 months time service.
What do you say?
6 months, then he gets credit for the time that he served.
That's not my business. The law says you get credit for all time you've served. The jail calculates that. We don't. We don't know. You know better. You know every day you've been in there, but that's the agreement, 180 days, correct? In the county jail. If I follow this agreement, you have no right of appeal. Then you get credit for all time that you've served. If I follow this, no right of appeal, how do you plea in this case, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Are you pleading guilty voluntarily, that is on your own free will, and because you are indeed guilty of what this alleges?
Yes, sir. For what I got locked up for, sir.
How do you plead to this charge, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
Are you pleading guilty voluntarily on your own free will because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
I show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 1 there. Did you sign that document voluntarily? Understand it, discuss it with your attorney, or the contents all true and correct? State's Exhibit 1 tendered into evidence
No objection.
without objection admitted. Among other things, this states you are mentally competent to enter your guilty plea, which is freely and voluntarily made. You know what you've been charged with. The indictment's been read to you. You've read it. You were guilty of the crime charged in any lesser included offenses. You were giving up your rights to a jury trial and the right to the apparent confrontation, cross-examination of witnesses. You were totally satisfied with the representation provided by your lawyer. All of this is true. So help you God. Is that all
Yes.
true?
Yes, sir. Would there be any other other pending charges or convictions? Because I did recently, I caught that charge in 2024 of actually December of 2023 going on 2024. I went to TDC holiday. I went to holiday TDC. I believe March the 24th of 2024. I caught a bench warrant, or I actually caught a shortwave. I signed for 3 years. I caught a shortwave for 2 years, sir. And then when I came back here, sir, when I got my shortwave, I also got my bench warrant. I went to Larry Gish, sir, to be transferred to Jefferson County, sir. And I waited 2 months for this actual court date, sir. Which I'm not complaining. I like.
What's your point?
My point is, I feel like I could have did something like not actually but like the court like who I had my recent court date, or like recent court date, or whatever you would like to call it. When I was getting my state time jail, when I was getting served the TDC time, sir, like I had to go to TDC get a bench
Okay,
warrant, and then go back to TDC.
yeah. The executive branch of government calculates all that time, not the judicial branch. I mean, the executive branch, that's the sheriff's office and the law enforcement, the prison authorities. They are the ones that calculate that. If you think it's wrong, you talk to your lawyer and I'll order a recalculation. But that's not something we determine. We can give you an idea of what we see in the computer. But we're the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and we are not the authorities that make the actual determination. The law says you get credit for time you have served in accordance with the charge.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you're getting credit for 2 and 3 different charges for serving time. Sometimes it's only one, sometimes it depends on the processing, and that's not for us to determine. We don't determine that. We just assess, then you'll go back to the jail. They calculate it up there, and if there's a problem, that's when you talk to your lawyer. Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right.
Yes, sir.
If nothing further, I'm going to find you were pleading guilty today voluntarily. You were mentally competent to do so. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading guilty. There's sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea from State's Exhibit 1 admitted here to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this state jail felony. I'm following this agreement. You were hereby sentenced to confinement in the state jail for a term of 180 days. And
That's 60, that I can see. We didn't do a measure.
this vehicle that you took in this case,
There's no restitution, Your Honor.
this vehicle you took, do you know who owned it?
No, sir.
How did you choose that person to victimize?
Sir, like, I necessarily don't know, sir,
Do you see anything wrong with that? Do you know a vehicle, you drove it to death here. It ended up with one tire and lost a tire and anyway, have you ever owned a motor vehicle?
Yes, sir.
A motor vehicle is generally the second most expensive piece of property we ever own, our home. Have you ever owned a home?
No, sir.
All right, well, these people spent their money, they owned a home, they owned a car, and you don't even know who these people are. You just pick something at random to harm, to hurt people, to steal, and I mean, you drove it to death. The car was kind of wrecked out, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Do you see anything wrong in this?
With driving the car.
No, do you see any, are you telling me you got some doubts about whether what you did was wrong?
No, sir.
It's terribly wrong, isn't it?
Yes,
Are you
sir.
ashamed of yourself? I mean, do you regret this? Do you feel sorry for the people who lost their property in this case?
Sir, when you.
It's a yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Or are you gonna do this sort of thing again?
No, sir.
Why not?
That's what.
You did it first time. Why wouldn't you do it again? Did you learn a lesson?
So just listen.
Did you learn a lesson?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
The whole lesson.
What was the lesson?
To treat others' property as your own, just like
All right. all right.
this case.
Good for you. Okay, you learned something. Don't do this again. Okay. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
That is all. Thank you.
Thank
Man, that was a mess. That was a terrible thing. Beating those fast. Cars driving through yards, one wheel. Being chased. Didn't even know the person they stole from. Next, we call Jerome Marks. Is that you?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
We have 2 cases here. 24 CR 713 first is a second-degree felony of abandoning or endangering a child. So that carries with it, of course, up to 20 years in prison. But I noticed you have some prior convictions in 2016. So if all of that was true, then you are looking, if found guilty, first-degree felony punishment up to life in prison. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
24 CR 714, burglary of a habitation, that is a second-degree felony with the same prior 2016 conviction. So that also can be enhanced to a first-degree felony. So you were looking at up to 2 life sentences on these 2 cases. Do you understand
Yes,
the
sir.
seriousness of all of
Yes.
this? Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, did you have a copy of the report that my baby mom, my son's mother wrote? Cause she actually vouched that the car never moved as far as the child endangerment, and we were staying together. And I still have property there, so I understand that the consequences and everything that's going on.
I can make a decision on that if
Yes, sir.
you come to me for guilt or innocence, but this
Oh.
isn't the trial.
Yes, sir.
And I just don't individually, the grand jury indicted it, the executive branch. It's in now the judicial branch.
Yes, sir.
Me. But I don't tell the grand jury what to do. And what happens in my court now is I don't make independent prosecutorial decisions. That's not my job.
Yes, sir.
I preside, now we've taken that step into me, and all I do is orchestrate the trial or the disposition if it's not a trial.
Yes, sir.
And your choice, because of the Constitution, you get power over your life and the direction your life takes by deciding how you're going to want to proceed after consultations with your attorney. And Mr. Bugler, there's a smart guy. So these are negotiations have, I guess, been attempted. Go ahead, Mr. Bugler.
Well, he'd like it set on the trial docket and he wants to get it resolved as soon as possible. So we're asking the court to.
We all do.
be
We
replaced.
like to try to move these as fast
Get
as we
someone.
can. And which one, Mr. Lair, is that your?
It's Mr. Hams, he's at a seminar, but I assume we'll be trying,
The burglary.
the burglary first, since it's,
Yeah.
seems to be the better the cases.
All right. It'll be set for trial and then the burglary will be tried first.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Mr. Stevens, Judge Stevens, I'm trying to ask, how can it be a burglary if I was staying there?
Look, this isn't a debate. I don't know what the facts are,
Yes, sir.
and I'm,
It's
unless,
all in the reports.
but we can all, if you want me to decide the outcome of this case, waive a jury trial and elect to be tried in front of me. But otherwise, it's really not for me to decide right now. That's
Yes,
not
sir.
an issue for me. It's not a debate either. The grand jury indicted, the DA's office has elected to move forward, and all I do is kind of referee what goes on next.
Yes, sir.
If you want to, if that's what you're asking for is a trial by jury. If you want a trial before me, then I end up making the decision. But
Okay.
until that happens, until that
sir.
happens, and if you, that's what you want to do, you need to talk to him about waiving the constitutional right. That's what that flag stands for jury trial, which most people do in this court. 85% of the cases are disposed of by pleas of guilty before me,
Yes,
not
sir.
trials. But that's your choice after you discuss all of this, the pros and cons, because I mean, you're looking at up to life in prison. So this is a very important
Yes, sir.
crossroad in your life. Make sure
It-
you're fully, you fully inform your attorney and you talk to him about any decisions, but just let me know if you want to change your mind. But right now, he says you want a trial
Yes, sir.
and we'll
But-
set it for trial.
This is what I'm saying too, Judge. Cause I'm about to lose my job now, cause my boss been holding it for me. He actually looked, we are also talked with my baby mom and the mother. And they're supposed to go to the protective order courts with you, which they didn't show up. And they both told me they're not going to trial or anything. And I got the reports, a copy of the reports that
Hold
they
on.
wrote.
How do you know this?
My mom and her mom talks.
Well, how do you know that?
Cause my mom tell me. That, but
Okay.
her mom reached out to her, to
Okay.
my mom.
Here's the deal. I'm going to ask the district attorney's office to be so kind to look into if there's witness tampering going on in this case?
Yes.
And if other people need to be indicted for trying to influence witnesses in this case, as I'm hearing that's going on. And keep it up. You're just digging a hole.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
Just-
you are
yes, sir,
digging the
I
hole.
understand.
And now you're gonna get the whole family into the mess. And that's the way it ought to be, because
But
this in the way it's, you don't behind the scenes try to tamper and influence with anything. The facts are supposed to play out.
yes, sir.
Grand jury listened to facts and made
Yes,
an
sir.
indictment. Then you don't come back behind with your group, your cavalry, and attempt to try to change the way people are thinking. That's what trials are all about. But I'm going to ask them to look into
The
if
court-
maybe more people should be indicted for witness tampering
sir.
after what you're telling me.
The court's
It's
law
set
says
for
she can,
trial. You don't interrupt. It's set for trial and it will be set for trial. Mr. Dusler here, you've said too much already. All of this has been,
Yes,
they'll
sir.
get a copy of it and
Can I get
then
another?
it'll be used
attorney?
against you. It can be used against you at trial too, if you testify. Mr. Dusler here
Never
is a
did
competent
tell her
lawyer.
anything.
And you know what? If you're gonna interrupt me, we'll put you back in timeout until you quit interrupting.
Yes, sir.
See, I get
apologize,
this impression,
Judge. I apologize.
I get this impression that you like to kind of be the boss of the environment that you're in. You dictate the way things ought to be, and when they don't happen the way you like it, then you get people, your little comrades, to go out and try to change the facts. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It works out. Facts are facts. You're not supposed to try to manipulate behind the scenes against the rules of procedure. You want to trial in front of a jury. Mr. Dusler is a competent lawyer. It'd probably get to trial quicker if you agreed to release him. I could put somebody next on the trial docket wheel, or you can keep him. He's a fine lawyer. What do you want to do?
I want to get a different lawyer.
All right, the next person on the trial docket wheel, I find good. You're doing that because you want this case to go quicker, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's the reason. And then that's the valid reason, not because you want a different lawyer. That's not what the indigent commission states. But if you want it to go quicker, that's the way to do it. And that's allowed under the rules. I find good cause to release Mr. Dusler. The next lawyer on the trial docket deal will be appointed to represent you. And we'll set this for trial and we'll see what the DA's office investigation finds out with what's going on behind the scenes involving what I'm perceiving as attempts to try to influence this trial. You're released, that's all. Just incredible what goes on behind the scenes. It's, we're not gonna let due process get in the way of what we want to manipulate to the end. My goodness, just throw that Constitution right out the window, huh?